And welcome to The Hot Seat. I'm Misha DeBono. As usual, we have a great show lined up for you today. Let's first introduce you to our regulars. We have Anna Berry.
Hi, dear. Nice to be here.
And Renee Ashton.
How are you, darling?
You again. And of course, Miss Stacey Hayes, all the way from England.
Yes, happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, today we are speaking with New York Times best-selling author and financial expert Robert Allen. In his new book, Debt Reversal, Debt-Free for Good, Robert goes after the banking and credit card industries and is blowing the lid off what he calls the greatest ripoff of American citizens in our nation's history. Robert, it's so great to have you here.
Oh, excellent. Glad to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, welcome to the hot seat. You are on the hot seat.
They should be on the hot seat. You know, these banks and these credit card companies, they should be on the hot seat. Let's put them on the hot seat today.
You know, a lot of people that I talked to before this show, they refer to the banking industry as having a license to steal. Why do people say that?
A license to steal. They're stealing money from you right out of your pocketbooks 24 hours a day. Literally at the interest rates that are shocking. And that steals your life from you. It steals your relationships. It steals time. It steals, you know, the worry that you have about the debt that you're involved in. It's stealing everything from us. And I'm furious about it because I think that the rules that they set up for us to borrow money at are ridiculous. And here's the rules. They send you a credit card and it's free. They want to just hook you, right? And then they overnight raise your interest rates. They add fees. In the mail, I mean, in the newspaper, just 2 days ago, it talked about they decided that they want to, all credit cards are going to raise their fees. Now, the fees are outrageous already. And so they're stealing from us again without our permission. And that's not right.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it seems like it's just one big credit card shakedown, right?
Well, what's a shakedown? What does that mean? It means if somebody owes you money, you know, you go shake them down. That's what they're doing to us. They're shaking us down. It's like turning us upside down and shaking out every single dime we've got in our life. And that's what I wrote this book for. I wrote the book because I want people to reverse the trend. Instead of going into deeper and deeper in debt, I want them to put that car in reverse and back themselves out of debt, get back to solid ground, and then they can create some wealth in their life. When I talk about this book, I talk about being debt-free. What kind of debt? I'm talking about credit card debt. I'm talking about car loans. I'm talking about student loans. I'm talking about mortgage loans. Anytime you borrow money from anybody, it's dangerous. Most of us are programmed to spend money 24 hours a day. And they spend billions and billions of dollars. You watch the TV, you look at all the 2,000 or 3,000 ads you see every single day. You are programmed to spend money, literally programmed. So you see an ad like priceless. You know, you seen that ad?
Yes.
Or what's in your wallet? What is in your wallet? Well,
credit cards.
Yeah, lots of them. How many credit cards have you got?
I have quite a few,
How many have you got? 3. How many have you got?
I have 2.
You have 2. How many have you got?
6.
6. Well, you're actually doing great. You know the reason the average American has 9 credit cards. I was talking to one of the cameramen right here today. He comes up to me and he says, I was in college, I had 15 credit cards and $25,000 worth of debt. Now, this is ridiculous. It's just got to stop.
You know, I still need to know, like, everything you're saying sounds really smart and really great, but did you live this experience yourself, or did you gather this information? How do you know?
Well, because if I can be perfectly honest, it got me too. They got me. It was 22 years ago. You've got a ways to go yet. But it was 22 years ago, and I got head over heels in debt, and then one business I had kind of went belly up, and I had to use my credit cards to kind of make ends meet. You know how that happens. And before long, I was head over heels. And if I had known at that time what they were doing, how my interest rates were being jacked up and they were adding fees on top of it, then I could have stopped it. But I didn't know what to do, and I literally did what most people do. You know what you do when you're kind of not quite sure? You avoid it, and you avoid it long enough to become a monster. And it became a monster in my life, and it gobbled me up. And the bankruptcy that came from it was horrific. It was the most shameful thing I've ever gone through, the hardest decision I ever made. And millions of people are going through that decision right now. I don't know if that's you, but I know what it's like to go to a mailbox full of bills you can't pay. I know how embarrassing that is. And if I had known what was in this book then, I could have stopped it. And it took me 10 years to get out of that. 10 hard years. And you know what the hardest part was? What it did to my marriage. Now, I've been married for 31 years, and I got to bless my wife because she should have left me, to tell you the honest truth. She hung with me. She made it, and that's why we're so joyous today, because we live financially free today. But back then, we were fighting at each other's throats constantly, and this is something I don't want to have happen to you. If I had known what was in this book at that time, literally, I could have gotten out of it not in 10 years, but in a year or 6 months. Literally, within 30 days of you reading this book, you are on your way out. And some of you, as a matter of fact, and I wish I had known this because I could have done this myself, some of you can wipe out your debt 100% within 24 hours of reading this book. 100%. And most people, they're involved in this the bill collector thing, and I was so embarrassed when the phone rang, I wouldn't answer it. When I went to the mailbox, I almost didn't dare open up the bills.
So if half of us already have really ridiculously high interest rates, does the book give you the actual techniques to lower your interest rates?
That's the first step. I want everybody, and everybody watching, I want you to make the decision that I'm going to cut my interest rate. First of all, do you know what it is? And second of all, how do you get it lowered? A few simple phone calls, and it's done. And sometimes you can do it in 5 minutes. There's a story here about a gentleman who had 28% on his interest rate and cut it down to 0. So it's all in the book. The strategies are in here, the techniques, exactly the conversations, what you need to say, how to say it, and how to get through to them so they'll actually lower these interest rates for you.
So even if a person is just completely drowning in debt and can barely see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're saying it's not too late. With a phone call, perhaps there is still hope to get out of that.
Well, the first step is to lower the interest rate. The next step is to cut the debt itself. You might have $10,000, $11,000 worth of debt. What if you could get that reduced to 11 or to 10 or to 9 to 8 to 5? We've had people who cut their rates from $51,000 down to $12,500. They cut it by 75%. So some people, actually some of you watching right now, you'll have a lot of debt, and you really never thought it would be possible to have them cut it. They can cut that under certain kind of circumstances, and some of you watching right now, this very moment, by tomorrow, will be completely out of debt. Now, you've got bill collectors calling you right now, and you're wondering, what are you going to be able to do about it? They're bugging you, they're harassing you. By tomorrow, a few of you, many of you watching right now will be able to say to those bill collectors, I don't owe that debt. It's done. I wiped it out. And they're going to say, what? And by saying just 2 words to them, you'll allow them to stop calling you forever. And this debt can be gone, 100% gone. There's so many powerful secrets in this book about what you can and cannot do with your debt. And I put them all together in one place. It's powerful stuff.
I'm sorry, my phraseology here, if that's a word. But you're saying that the credit card companies are screwing the American people?
Well, that's pretty strong language. Yes is the answer to that question. Yeah, they are, because this is a credit card offer I got in the mail on Monday. 19.99% interest. And the little line at the bottom, this is fun to read, the little fine print. You get out your magnifying glass and you can read it. It says, we deserve the right to change the account terms, including the APRs, the annual percentage rates, at any time for any reason. And this is what they do. They change these rates on us. So, for instance, they check your credit. They find out you have a little ding on your credit rating. Even though you've been faithful in making your monthly payments, they can jack your interest rate up without even asking your permission, because it was right here at any time for any reason. That's what I'm furious about. And they jack up the fees. I had a friend of mine who had some credit card debt, like $35,000 worth of debt. That's just an enormous amount, but he missed a payment on one of his credit cards, and it set on this chain reaction, so all of these credit cards starting to have late payments on it. And within just a few months, he was $80,000 with fees. He missed one, and then it just did a chain reaction on all of them. And so finally, it drove him into bankruptcy. Oh, sure. I mean, and this is happening to millions of people. They are going head over heels in debt, and the Debt Reversal book is about becoming debt-free and getting rid of that forever. It's also about reversing something else. It's about reversing the despair and the disappointment and the discouragement and the depression that people have when they get into debt that's not their fault.